Hello and welcome back to another video, and a Doctor Who video actually, which is pretty cool because welcome to the official review of special number 2. A lot of rhyming there, but pretty cool. But yeah, welcome to special number 2. I'm still kind of ill, but getting a lot better, so another good point. But yeah, special 2, Wild Blue Yonder. We're going to be reviewing this episode in detail today. I'm going to go over everything, characters, plotline, the CGI, all the looks, the sets and all that kind of stuff, all in this video. Hopefully I will cover everything, which should be pretty cool. I did actually prepare for this video, so as we've got a Doctor Who video going on, I do actually have TARDIS socks, which is pretty cool. Granted that it has the Jodie Whittaker logo on, upside down, but we will get past that one. Yeah. Anyway, back to the video in hand. We're going to be basically reviewing this episode honestly, and I'm going to give my brutally honest opinion on this episode. And just having a look online what people actually think of this episode, there's a lot of contrast. I know a lot of people do like it, and that is the main consensus, but I have seen some reviews online which are actually a little bit negative. Well, not like fully negative, but I've seen a few bad points about this episode, and I'd like to highlight them as well and discuss all of that. So yeah, that is basically going to be the whole premises of this video. So let's go ahead and start with the characters. Now obviously you got the Doctor and Donna, which are, you know, David and Catherine Tate. And yeah, they really performing very well in this episode, I think. Spoiler if you haven't watched. But playing both the antagonist... Let me rephrase that differently. Playing both the good villain... Playing both the good guys and the bad guys is something that can be quite interesting depending on the actor. But Catherine Tate and David Tennant both pulled that off very well. And I think they're some great characters, and you know, David pulled off the Doctor very well in this episode, I think, as always. But again, one that I am like really actually happy and surprised by is Catherine Tate's performance in this episode, especially in the last scene. Well, not the last scene, but the scene where Donna almost gets left behind. I genuinely think that Catherine Tate's performance in that piece was probably some of the best acting we have seen by Catherine playing Donna in the entire universe, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, that's sort of what I think of the characters. The robot, I think the robot was pretty cool. I liked how it tied in with the spaceship and tied in with the plot. I don't think it was like overused or anything, because I think that it could have been very easily overused in a story like this. I think it was used just to the right amount, to where it's just like a little background point. It didn't really have a personality or anything. It was just there to serve as part of the actual plot point. But nevertheless, I think it looked pretty cool and, you know, fit the aesthetic of the actual spaceship itself. Whilst we're on the whole topic, let's actually mention that whole intro sequence. Yeah, that was an interesting choice. I'm not sure whether I'm 100%. I mean, I liked it as a scene. I think it was a very cool scene. I like how the TARDIS landed in the tree. I specifically liked how they actually pulled that off, and how they obviously did all that. You've got Isaac Newton as well in this episode. Yeah, Isaac Newton in this episode. So it's pretty cool. You've got Isaac Newton, the Doctor, and Donna, and this whole little sort of comedy bit to open up. I didn't really think it fitted. Yeah, I didn't think it fit that well with the whole episode. Like, I think the comedy was just a little bit... Like, I feel like this episode could have been just more serious stuff. And it did feel a little tiny bit out of place. But nevertheless, I don't think it ruined the opening at all. I think it, you know, basically served as a very, very good scene to open up the episode with in sort of a new sort of light. And I think it was pretty cool, pretty fun. And yeah, personally, I liked it. So, thumbs up from that. Now getting into the actual grit of the episode. As we've obviously discovered most of the characters in this episode, there's one more, but I will go onto that a little bit later on. He needs his entire section for this video. But yeah, basically the spaceship. Now, I think the spaceship was amazing. I really liked how much in this new Doctor Who era they are doing practical effects. Because I'm all for it. I love the big sets that they used for the spaceship. I liked the whole set design. I think it all looked beautiful. And for the bigger and more eccentric set pieces, like the big corridor, they actually used a lot of green screen for that. And they tied it in very, very well. I think the green screen and all it was utilised very, very well. And I think it was, I think it looked definitely good. Like, I genuinely think it's probably the best CGI we've seen in Doctor Who. And with the whole panels moving and things too, like, that looked really, really good. And I genuinely liked that CGI. But the best probable CGI pieces in this episode I liked is the exterior shots of the ship looked amazing. I can't fault that at all. I think it looked absolutely beautiful. And the explosion scene near the end, which I think looked really, really cool. I also, side note, I also liked how the Doctor used the TARDIS as a bit of a hover skateboard thingy. I just thought that, like, little detail was kind of fun and pretty quirky to add in there. Now, a lot of people said that this special was a little bit slow pacing. And personally, I actually really, really like it for this episode. I know that the giggle next week is going to be a very, very big, bombastic episode. And so was the first episode. So why not slow it down for the second part and use that in-between episode as a real character building episode. And that's what this episode does so, so well. And this is, you know, probably one of our strongest character driven monster of the week episodes that we've probably ever had on Doctor Who. I genuinely like this episode a lot, and I think it's so interesting, especially on the first watch. Like, I've actually rewatched this before actually shooting this video, but on the first watch, I loved how you had no idea what was happening next, and that made the episode go so quickly. And in a way, I was a little bit like, is this going to affect the rewatch? I genuinely didn't think it did. I think it went as fast in the rewatch as it did on the first watch, purely because of the whole performance and the episode. I genuinely just liked it a lot. I like how different and unique it is, and I think Doctor Who is a show that can really, really pull off just something that's wacky and out there and so bizarre and unique. I genuinely think Doctor Who can pull that off, and it does it really, really well because, well, it's a show that can change and can adapt every week. So I think this is a great episode to do it in. You brought in a brand new villain with a brand new concept mimicking the Doctor and Donna. And this is just such a good idea to make it so that the cast is so limited. You've got just the Doctor and Donna in this special. You have a little robot for some time. That kind of goes into the plot. But it's mainly the Doctor and Donna. And I really, really like that for this episode. I think it's a new idea that Doctor Who hasn't done before, and I genuinely really enjoyed this. I also kind of like the little reveal that the pilot actually chucked herself out of the spaceship, and you know you got like the little banging and stuff, and it all comes together really nicely at the end, which I think again was really cool. So yeah, all of that over the way. Yeah, genuinely a really good episode, and I genuinely enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, that's why I'm rating this episode very highly, in my opinion. Like I genuinely, I know I say this a lot, but I genuinely enjoyed the episode. Like, I know a lot of people did say that it did feel a little too slow, but in my opinion, I don't think it was, because on the second rewatch, I didn't feel myself it like dragging or anything as well, which is a very good point for this whole episode. So yeah, now going on to the obvious close-up. Oh yeah, I need to talk about another thing as well with the practical effects. So you obviously have like the arms growing. I think that was a great practical effect that was used really well. I know they used a mix of CGI and practical effects in this, but I think that worked really well. I like the idea of the big arm moving and stuff like that, and the leg and all that kind of stuff. I like the teeth as well. I think that was a nice little, more subtle one, but I think it worked very well. And you know, especially in the later scenes, because they're like getting better and better at replicating the Doctor and Donna. So yeah, just like the teeth, quite a simple thing. The only bits that I thought was a little tiny bit like meh is, well, the first one is Donna sort of morphing into a puddle. It was just a little bit cheesy, I guess, and like the Doctor sort of bending backwards. Like, I thought that was a bit creepy, but like a little bit cheesy too. And then obviously, like, I like the idea of them growing in size, but the idea of it all just being like quite cartoony and stuff, which I suppose Doctor Who can do because it does have like that whole quirky side to it. But I thought that they sort of overdid it on the effects a little bit for just the actual characters, well, the actual villain of this episode. I think if they just added little things like, well, I won't even say they did it bad, because I did actually enjoy it, but personally, if I was going to do it, personally I would have just stick to like the longer arms and having that be a thing at first, and then morphing into just the teeth, and then, you know, really just like, I suppose over time, them becoming better copies of the Doctor and Donna, which I think would be a very good thing. But I'm not obviously knocking Russell's ideas for all of this, because I did genuinely think they were really good. So yeah, that is basically everything I'd say that's covered in this episode. Now this little last part, which is actually quite a big part of this episode, which for me was a big emotional moment, is you obviously have Bernard Cribbins coming back to play Wilf in what is apparently his last ever scene. And oh my god, that was just such a good surprise for... Well, I kind of knew that he might have been in this episode, but I wasn't sure if he was going to be sort of left into next week's episode. But I genuinely loved that transition at the end. I think it was really cool, and I really like the idea of Wilf coming back too, and it's just... It's Bernard Cribbins. You gotta love Bernard Cribbins. Like, he's an insane character. Wilf may be one of my favourite characters from the entire Russell era, to be honest with you. Like, I just loved his character. He's funny, and yeah, it's just a shame that we can't have him again, with obviously the sad passing of Bernard Cribbins. But yeah, it's nice that we got this scene. Even though it is sad, that we know we're not going to get loads and loads of Bernard Cribbins, if any, in the next episode. But it's nice that we actually got this last scene with Bernard Cribbins, which I think is really, really cool. And yeah, honestly, I was slightly tearing up at the end there, but it was a really, really good last scene for this episode, I think. But yeah, that is basically the end. Obviously, Joel erupts into chaos, which I think is, again, really, really cool. But I think that'll play into probably next week's episode a little bit more, which I think is really, really cool. So yeah, that is basically the end of my review on special number 2 of the 60th anniversary Wild Blue Yonder. And I rate this episode very, very highly. I personally I'm really, really enjoying these specials so far. So I definitely say this is one of my favourites. Again, one of my favourite Doctor Who episodes ever. Like, really, really high up on the list. I really enjoyed this episode. So yeah, that's basically the end of this video and the end of this review. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn on the post notifications. We're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers as quickly as humanly possible on this YouTube channel. So if you like Doctor Who, you like all these kind of stuff, I'm just getting into doing reviews like this. So if you're enjoying this kind of things and you want me to do this for the Ncuti Gatwa era, please smash a like on this video. It will all help me make that decision. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please comment, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.